Charlemagne was history's ultimate medieval warlord and a legendary father of Europe. He inherited a fractured Frankish kingdom and violently forged it into a colossal continental empire. He spent more than 40 years launching relentless, brutal military campaigns against all his neighbors. He completely annihilated the mysterious Avar Empire and plundered their legendary rings of hoarded gold. He ruthlessly forced thousands of pagan Saxons to convert to Christianity under the direct threat of the sword. He established a magnificent, highly educated royal court that literally saved Western civilization from the Dark Ages. He knelt to pray on Christmas Day and unexpectedly rose as the supreme emperor of the Romans. He stood at a towering physical height, intimidating rival kings and rebellious nobles with his sheer presence. His massive conquests laid the permanent, unbreakable foundations for the modern nations of France and Germany. This is the breathtaking chronicle of the greatest king of the Middle Ages. The legendary conqueror was born in 742 to King Pepin the Short, the very first Carolingian king of the Franks. Upon his father's death, the massive kingdom was awkwardly divided between Charles and his younger brother Charlemagne. The two brothers completely despised each other, bringing the Frankish realm to the absolute brink of devastating civil war. In 771, Charlemagne suddenly and mysteriously died, allowing Charles to immediately seize total control of the entire kingdom. He rapidly mobilized his heavily armored Frankish cavalry and looked outward to expand his absolute dominance. The Pope in Rome desperately called upon Charles to save him from the aggressive Lombard kingdom in northern Italy. Charles marched his unstoppable army directly over the freezing, treacherous passes of the majestic Swiss Alps. He completely crushed the Lombard defenses, captured their capital city of Pavia, and imprisoned their king. He placed the legendary Iron Crown of Lombardy on his own head, officially declaring himself the king of the Lombards. If you love these gripping tales of absolute historical ambition, please like this video right now. He launched a massive, multi-decade crusade against the fierce, pagan Saxon tribes of the dark northern forests. The Saxon warriors utilized terrifying guerrilla warfare, constantly breaking treaties and burning Christian churches to the ground. In retaliation, Charles ordered his soldiers to completely chop down the Irminsul, a sacred giant tree worshipped by the pagans. A brilliant rebel leader named Widukind united the furious Saxon tribes and completely slaughtered an entire Frankish army. Charlemagne was absolutely enraged by the betrayal and marched his elite forces directly to the banks of the Aller River. In a horrific display of absolute medieval cruelty, he ordered the notorious massacre of Verden in the year 782. He systematically beheaded 4,500 unarmed Saxon prisoners in a single, blood-soaked day. He issued terrifying new laws declaring that any Saxon who refused Christian baptism would be immediately executed. After 30 years of endless, brutal bloodshed, he finally broke the Saxon resistance and absorbed their territories. He completely absorbed the massive duchy of Bavaria after deposing his own rebellious cousin Tassilo. He exiled Tassilo to a dark monastery, completely eliminating the final independent power bloc within the Frankish realm. He also led his massive armies across the Pyrenees Mountains to battle the powerful Islamic Emirates of ancient Spain. During the bloody retreat from Spain, his vulnerable rearguard was completely annihilated in the narrow pass of Roncesvalles. The tragic death of his loyal paladin, Roland, became the ultimate legendary epic poem of medieval chivalry. Despite this rare military setback, he established a heavily fortified buffer zone known as the Spanish March. He launched a massive, coordinated invasion down the Danube River into the heart of the mysterious Avar Khaganate. The Avars had spent 2 centuries terrorizing Eastern Europe and hoarding unbelievable amounts of stolen Byzantine gold. Charlemagne's armies completely breached their legendary, heavily fortified circular fortress known simply as the Ring. The Franks hauled away so much stolen treasure that it required 15 massive wooden wagons pulled by oxen to transport it. This sudden, massive influx of looted gold completely revitalized the struggling economy of Western Europe. Make sure to subscribe to Stickman Chronicles because we drop epic history content every single day. While his armies terrorized the borders, he launched a brilliant cultural revolution known as the Carolingian Renaissance. He realized that his massive new empire could not survive if his priests and administrators could not even read. He actively recruited the brightest scholars from across Europe, including the brilliant English monk Alcuin of York. He ordered the creation of massive scriptoriums where monks frantically copied ancient Roman and Greek manuscripts. His scholars invented a beautiful, highly legible writing system called Carolingian minuscule that we actually still use today. Although he championed literacy and education, the great emperor himself struggled endlessly to learn how to write. He slept with a wax tablet under his royal pillow, practicing his letters late into the candlelight without much success. He created a highly efficient network of royal inspectors called the Missi Dominici to enforce his strict laws. These traveling magistrates ensured that corrupt local nobles did not oppress the poor peasant farmers of his realm. He standardized weights and measures across his entire empire to heavily promote fair and bustling regional trade. He introduced a revolutionary new silver currency system based on the silver denarius that became the standard of Europe. He instituted the payment of tithes, forcing every citizen to give 1/10 of their income directly to the church. This massive influx of wealth completely transformed the Catholic Church into a dominant economic powerhouse. He built massive wooden bridges across the Rhine and Danube rivers to rapidly move his armies and merchants. He constructed a massive canal project designed to physically connect the Rhine and Danube river systems. Although the muddy, unstable banks ultimately collapsed, the sheer engineering ambition terrified his contemporary rivals. He forced his massive armies to march with absolute precision, utilizing complex supply wagons and strict discipline. He ordered that any soldier found drunk on duty would be severely whipped or forced to drink dirty water. He ruthlessly confiscated the lands of any noble who failed to show up for the annual spring military campaigns. He maintained a vast network of spies and informants to detect any signs of noble rebellion before they could spark. He mandated the extensive planting of fruit trees, medicinal herbs, and vineyards across his massive royal estates. He loved hunting wild boars and stags in the dense, terrifying ancient forests of Western Europe. He firmly believed that rigorous physical exercise was the absolute key to maintaining a sharp, aggressive mind. Ancient biographers recorded that his voice was surprisingly high-pitched and completely contrasted with his massive physical frame. He loved to swim in the natural hot springs of Aachen, frequently inviting hundreds of his royal guards to bathe alongside him. He deeply despised drunkenness and strictly limited his noblemen to only 3 cups of wine during lavish royal banquets. He constantly wore simple, traditional Frankish linen tunics and fiercely mocked nobles who wore expensive foreign silk. He only wore elaborate, heavy imperial robes on high religious holidays or when receiving foreign ambassadors. In 799, a violent mob in Rome brutally attacked Pope Leo III, attempting to violently gouge out his eyes. The terrified, bleeding pope fled directly to Charlemagne's royal court, begging the powerful king for military protection. Charlemagne marched back into Italy with a massive army and completely restored the pope to his holy throne. On Christmas Day in the year 800, the king knelt to pray at the grand altar of St. Peter's Basilica. Pope Leo suddenly placed a magnificent golden crown on Charlemagne's head and declared him emperor of the Romans. This shocking coronation completely outraged the Byzantine Empire in the East, who believed they were the only true Romans. Charlemagne had successfully resurrected the majestic ghost of the fallen Western Roman Empire through pure military might. He commanded immense respect from the popes, often lecturing them on theology and proper moral behavior. He fundamentally shifted the center of European power from the Mediterranean Sea directly to the northern continent. He established a permanent, breathtaking imperial capital at Aachen, complete with a stunning stone octagonal chapel. He received lavish diplomatic gifts from the legendary Caliph of Baghdad, Harun al-Rashid, including an actual living elephant. The elephant was named Abul Abbas and incredibly traveled with the emperor on several of his military campaigns. He fiercely protected the European coastlines from the very first terrifying, sudden raids of the Scandinavian Vikings. He rapidly constructed massive wooden fleets and coastal watchtowers to repel the fierce northern sea rovers. He was an incredibly devoted father who refused to let his beloved daughters marry, keeping them close to his court. He surrounded himself with foreign scholars, fiercely debating theology, astronomy, and advanced mathematics late into the night. He collected ancient Germanic hero songs and compiled massive books of early Frankish grammar that were tragically lost to time. As he grew older, he suffered from terrible joint pain, but stubbornly refused to give up his absolute love for roasted meats. Knowing his death was rapidly approaching, he personally crowned his only surviving legitimate son, Louis the Pious, as co-emperor. In January 814, the legendary 72-year-old emperor caught a severe fever and finally succumbed to illness. He was buried in his majestic Palatine chapel at Aachen, leaving behind an empire that spanned over 1 million square kilometers. His massive realm was tragically torn apart by violent civil wars between his greedy grandsons just decades after his death. However, the exact borders drawn by his battling grandsons permanently created the geographical boundaries of modern France and Germany. He successfully proved to the chaotic medieval world that a single strong ruler could restore order and civilization. He single-handedly shattered the darkness of the early Middle Ages through absolute, undisputed administrative genius. His name became an eternal legend, celebrated for centuries in countless global theatrical productions and epic chivalric romances. During the modern era, his powerful legacy represents both the pinnacle of Christian statecraft and the depths of religious tyranny. Historians still study his strict legal capitularies to understand the brutal efficiency of early medieval bureaucracies. His inspiring and terrifying legacy directly paved the way for the creation of the massive Holy Roman Empire. Today, vibrant museum exhibits and his breathtaking chapel celebrate his incredible ambition across the globe. His epic life continues to heavily inspire major characters in global television shows, complex video games, and modern films. He successfully rose from a regional Frankish warlord to become the most iconic unifier in Western European history. He demonstrated that a ruler's sheer intellect could completely reshape the cultural and physical geography of a continent. His unique blend of military innovation and ruthless religious suppression heavily influenced European politics for countless generations. He spent his entire adulthood working tirelessly to explore the truth and maintain the ultimate dominance of the Frankish state. The master political architect left behind an eternal legacy of unmatched physical bravery and supreme imperial authority. He successfully balanced the complex logistics of medieval warfare with a massive scale of cultural preservation. His life remains history's greatest example of ultimate individual power maintained through absolute systemic force. From his quiet youth hunting in the deep forests to his final legendary breath seeking modernization, he was completely unmatched. He permanently redefined the boundaries of human ambition and imperial leadership for many generations to come. He remains an immortal icon of Western history who chose raw imperial glory over a peaceful legacy at every turn. The world will likely never see another visionary conqueror quite like the towering father of Europe. Smash that like button if you were blown away by this ancient legendary medieval emperor. Subscribe to Stickman Chronicles right now to join our growing community of history lovers. We upload brand new history videos every single day, so you never miss an epic tale. Leave a comment below letting us know which historical figure we should cover in our next video. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into ancient political spirit. See you tomorrow for another wild story on Stickman Chronicles.